ayes are 54, the nays are 44. 3/5 of the Senate duly chosen and sworn in, not having voted in the affirmative, the motion is not agreed to.
Leader Schumer, you all just had a very long caucus meeting. We're hearing talk about a possible deal to reopen the government. Where is the Democratic caucus on these conversations?
We had a very good caucus, and we're exploring all the options. Yes.
Leader Schumer, do you believe that President Trump needs to get involved? Do you need him in the room to make a deal? Or
We've been asking for months for Trump to get involved, and he hasn't been. And the fault of this shutdown falls on his shoulders. He's refused to discuss anything with us.
Have you blessed the bipartisan negotiations that are going on when it comes to the ACA? Are you supportive of a separate vote on the ACA when we reopen the government?
Look, as I said, we had a great caucus. We discussed all of the options. Thank you.
This is now day 35 of the Democrat shutdown, and I'll be honest with you, I don't think any of us expected that it would drag on this long. I have said here, I do not expect that Chuck Schumer or Hakeem Jeffries will ever vote to reopen the government. I don't think that they're willing to face the wrath of the leftist base. They see what's happening in New York City and in their state of New York, and they're terrified by that. I mean, we've made that very clear, and I think the evidence speaks for itself. So we're going above the heads of the so-called leadership, and we are appealing to the consciences of a handful of people in the Senate who want to do the right thing and just stop the pain for the American people. And we pray that today is that day. Maybe tying for the longest shutdown in history is something that they can claim as some sort of success. But it's sickening. It's sickening to see a political game being played. We're not playing a game here. We never were. Back on September 19th, to remind you all again, we passed a clean, nonpartisan CR that's 24 pages in length, had not a single Republican priority on it. Why? Because we did it in good faith, because we didn't want this eventuality to occur. If the Senate passes something, of course, we'll come back. We're running out of clock. Obviously, we put 7 weeks on the clock. That was remember, the bipartisan arrangement that was made between Democrats and Republicans in the House and the Senate, in consultation with the Senate, bipartisan bicameral agreement that they needed 7 more weeks on the clock, because once we got to the end of the fiscal year, September 30th, there would be that much more time needed, they estimated, to finish the government funding appropriations process. The Democrats have played games, and we've lost so many of those days now. So if they extend it, obviously that logically makes sense to us. I am not a fan of extending it to December because, let's be frank, a lot of people around here have PTSD about Christmas omnibus spending bills. We don't want to do that. It gets too close, and we don't want to have that risk. Well, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. But too many people have concern. I think putting it into January makes sense, but we've got to obviously build consensus around that. There's some discussion about it. We'll see where it lands. I'm not sure. The SNAP benefit is a very important question. The White House has bent over backwards, as we've recounted here every morning, to make sure that Americans' pain is mitigated as much as possible, reduced as much as possible. So we got the troops paid. They made creative solutions for that. The WIC funding for women, infants, and children. And SNAP came to a legal crossroads because the legal analysis said that you could not use the contingency fund if the underlying fund was not flowing. I've explained that into detail here multiple times. 2 courts disagreed. So what did the president do? In good faith, showing again that he's willing to bend over backwards to help the American people when Democrats are not, he went to the court and said, fine, show me how to do it, because we don't see the path. And so the courts have ordered that. They filed a brief yesterday, or some response yesterday in the court, that they'll give as much as is there. Remember, the contingency fund only has roughly $5 billion, and it costs roughly $9 billion for a month of SNAP benefits. So I think the arrangement is they're going to give half, at least half, to everyone. But here's the problem: it's very complex, because that is administered through the states, and you have to recalculate all the allocations and how the checks go out. It's not, you can't just flip a switch and do that. It's a lot of work that goes into it. So I can tell you that the president is dialed in on this. The president is trying to protect and cover the American people, as he always does. The president is trying to get the government open again. And the Republicans have voted 14 times to do it, and the Democrats have voted 14 times not to do it, to keep the government closed. That's the story. And I don't